Morning, everyone. Now that Jen McCabes has testified for 2 days now, I wanted to go over a couple things that I, as a criminal defense attorney, have picked up throughout her testimony that I think are important for you guys to focus on when watching the rest of her testimony. First, I wanted to point out that throughout her testimony this time around, she seems more polished. And while Alan Jackson has asked her 17 different ways whether or not the district attorney's office has gone over her demeanor this time around, and she's said no, it's very clear that that is incorrect. Her demeanor, her attitude throughout cross-examination and direct is visibly different than how she reacted last time around. And it's evident that she's been coached on how to respond to cross-examination in a much more polite way, specifically on how to evade answering just yes or no questions. And that's a common tactic on cross-examination, right? A defense attorney is always going to want just a yes or no answer, but good prosecutors will tell their witnesses to do anything they possibly can to avoid just answering yes or no and to elaborate as much as possible, which is exactly what we see her doing here in Karen Reed 2.0. I also want to point out that when she doesn't want to answer a question or doesn't want to give the answer, she looks to Hank Brennan or Judge Bev to either help her or give her some clarity on what she should be doing. I noticed it a couple times throughout the trial that she looks over to Hank Brennan to either object or to give her a nod, to indicate how she should answer the question. Now, those are just little nuanced things, but what also is important, and I want to point out, is that Alan Jackson repeatedly goes over the I hit him that Jen testifies to in this trial that she attributes to Karen Reed. And he goes through several versions of her testimony, whether that's in the grand jury, whether it's through her interviews with Trooper Proctor, with Sergeant Lank, and none of that statement appears in any of those documents. And she attributes that to the officers not writing down what she said, so officer error, or that she was just answering the questions that she was asked. Now, does that happen? I would say that sometimes, yes, officers don't exactly transcribe what a witness will say to them, but they absolutely, 100% would have written down the words, I hit him, okay? In no realm of any possibility would two separate officers, if not more, would they have ever left out of any statement ever that they were writing down from an interview, they would have never left those words out, because those are a smoking gun. That is de facto proof that an individual has committed a crime. In no world would those expressions, excited utterances, present sense impressions, whatever you want to call them, would they have been left out of a memo log, an interview transcript, a recording, a grand jury testimony? Nowhere would an officer have left out those specific phrases, no matter what Jen McCabes says. Okay, that is a impossibility, because those three words, I hit him, are literally the crux of the case, and officers would know that. Okay, and I don't typically like to give a lot of credit to officers, but those would absolutely be included in that testimony. That is coming from someone who has worked in this field as an attorney for 12 years. Okay, that would absolutely be in those statements. Now, you can take away from that what you will, but the inconsistencies that she has testified to throughout all day yesterday, okay, there are many. There are too many to go through in just one video, so I will obviously make a part 2. But that specific inconsistency should demonstrate to the jury that she is not a credible witness. On top of the fact that she herself, in her own words, says, in the beginning of the cross-examination was, I was telling a story. Those are her exact words. I was telling a story. Not I was telling the events of that night. I was telling a story. That's very telling. Leave your questions in the comments. Let me know what you think about all of this. And I'm going to make a part 2 about more of her testimony. But you let me know what you think in the comments. Have a really great day.